Hey everyone, welcome back to CryptoCache. Thank you so much for joining me here. Hope you're having an amazing day. We're going to take a look here at Bitcoin. Happy Sunday. And of course, I've tried to understand generally how much lower it could go or possibly if this trend line will hold. We're going to go ahead and look at that and more. Now, if you're new to the channel, not a financial advisor, just love teaching people how to trade. So hopefully you can learn something here today. I've been trading for over 15 years. My goal is to help you become more self-sufficient. I love teaching people how to become better traders. So if you would like to incline yourself to become a better trader, link in the description below, CryptoCache.tech. Join my community. Got an amazing group of folks there. Weekly roundtable discussions. I send out signals for every trade I take, and I also provide you with a trading academy so you know how to become a better trader from start to finish. Get that good foundation, that good basics, and that's really helpful to build on. All right, now taking a look here at Bitcoin. Let's go ahead and see kind of what's going on here today. Now, it's not amazing, of course. This is typical weekend behavior, in my opinion, kind of steady sideways, but also little spikes here and there. More volatility because there's less volume. That being said, though, we can see the support level here at about 38,800 is tentatively holding. I say tentative because, of course, it dropped below, but one-day candlestick is ultimately the most important. So if we can hold above 38,800, I think we'll be in pretty good shape there. And the reason why that's important, of course, is because we have this trend line continuing upwards. And I drew this out last time I reviewed this, which was yesterday, of course. And essentially what it's just doing is telling us that we have key level supports, right? We've got 35,000 here was the lowest point in which the one-day candlestick would close. Then we've got 37,000 is a really close approximate, 36.9 essentially. And then of course, right now we're at about 38. So if we can, trend sideways and not close anywhere lower than this trend line, we'll be in pretty decent shape to see a continuation to the upside. I do think we do have a strong potential for an increase in the near future, but also a potential for selling off afterwards. All right. Again, there's a lot of different scenarios that could unfold, but I do think it's likely for us to come back up closer to about 45,000. But if we cannot break 44,500 and close above that on the one-day candlesticks, we're going to be in deep trouble, or potentially deep trouble, okay? Keep this in mind too. The more often you test resistance, the more likely it is to break. So there's a few different scenarios that really could unfold, and I'll try to provide that to you here today. But generally speaking, at this point, Bitcoin's not in terrible shape. Yes, we had a decrease in price. That does happen, of course, but we're still trending upwards in the sense of the fact that we're making higher lows. All right, we got to kind of understand that. Again, that doesn't necessarily mean that we're out of the doghouse specifically because, of course, we're still stuck under 50 on the RSI. That's not a great sign. I would love to get back up over 50, and what that would mean for us is to close above 40,200. That's a key level resistance at this point. Same with 41,500. So that's going to be a resistance channel. But if we look at the price action here, we can see the 50-day SMA is working itself, kind of averaging itself out right around 40,000. So getting above 40,000 will be a huge step in the right direction. A close above 40,000, and I think we're going to be short-term bullish in that regard, at least up until we get to that key level resistance and either break or potentially decrease from there. Once again, we'll find out here soon what's going to happen, of course, but today, we can expect some interesting volatility near the end of the trading day here today, of course, because everyone in the Eastern Hemisphere is essentially, it's a traditional work week in the Eastern Hemisphere at that time. And for right now, it's kind of nice and calm, but afternoons on Sundays, you always see, that the price will shift in a different direction, and we're going to hopefully go upwards, but we may even see a test of 38.8 again. All right, it might come back down and bounce. We'll see, of course, here soon. All right, so that's kind of the one-day chart there, essentially. We're looking at the 4-hour as well. Both moving averages are still trending right around the 40,800. So once again, that kind of reaffirms between 40,000 and 41,500. Between 40 and 41.5, we're going to have this resistance channel. Okay, so we can expect some turbulence when we get there. My speculation is we could, in fact, see a push or a break straight through. That does happen a lot, just based on the fact that there's probably a lot of short positions that could potentially get liquidated right in the range of 40 to 41,500. Okay, so there's potential there, of course. Now, that being said, 4-hour chart doesn't look terrible, but it's kind of averaging itself out sideways, which is nice. This decrease in price wasn't great, but it's come right back up to recover, so not a big deal. We did bounce off of 30 again for the RSI, which is proven to be a very strong support level. That being said, we should expect the price to come up, potentially reject off the 50, but we'll see here soon. And what that is, that's once again pretty close to 40,000. So just kind of reaffirming the fact that 40,000 to 41.5 is going to be that resistance channel. But here's the cool thing. We have a potential MACD convergence here that's forming. If we do get this to come to fruition, we could in fact see a continuation to the upside, a push back up to 40/41.5. Okay. So that could give us the gas that we need to get through to the next major resistance. All right, Taking a look here at the 1 hour chart, let's go ahead and see what's going on here. Not a whole heck of a lot, honestly, because when you have weekend price action like this, as you can kind of tell, the volume is lower, right? So we got a smaller amount of volume here than the traditional work week. So that being said, we're going to see interesting behavior on the weekends. Again, the price will shift up and down a little bit more quicker because of the fact that there's less volume. The volume will increase inevitably in the next 24 hours. So just be mindful of that. We should, in fact, have a continuation to the upside here from here based on the RSI being overextended on the 4 hour, MACD potential convergence there. And when we go ahead and take a look at the cloud, I don't think we're quite there yet, but we might be progressing closer. So I would say within about, by 10 a.m. tomorrow, we'd naturally be within or above the cloud if the price continues to go sideways from here, okay? So that being said, right now, we don't necessarily have a buy signal. At all. Honestly, the conversion line's right next to the baseline. We're below the cloud, and the lagging span is not free and clear of price action. So we basically have 0 out of 3 potential indications of wanting to take a long position. Okay, so it might be advantageous to hang out, wait on the sidelines to see what happens here soon. I'm speculating, of course, we will get a break to the upside within the next 24 hours. And if we were to get this to come up above the cloud here, and we got our other indicators where the lagging span's coming up as well, and the baseline's above the conversion line, or correction, the other way around, conversion line's above the baseline, then I would say at that point, we'd probably be in pretty good shape to take a position, because at that time, the MACD would also be converging too. Because if you look at the 4 hour time frame here, you can see that this really wants to come up and swing back upwards. Okay, and usually when you see that happen, that little connection, so to speak, that's a signal to go long for some type of swing trade position. So I would say set your alerts to identify, whenever the Ishimoku cloud breaks above, as well as, of course, that MACD convergence. If we get those two things to align, then that would be a pretty good indication that Bitcoin's back on track and we're ready to rock and roll. Okay, you could also do something ahead of time as well, because once again, 39,000 I personally feel is a decent value. I would recommend dollar cost averaging around this price point, because yes, heaven forbid the price comes down lower, you can add more later if that's an opportunity for you. But the price goes up and never comes back down, you're gonna wish you had done so. Again, just a little bit at a time. You don't have to put your whole bag in. I personally, once a week, just put in a small percentage of my portfolio, and it's overall just consistently lowering my average, and I like to do that. Even if there's a case in point when the price is higher, you can still DCA in an upward market. There's nothing wrong with that. In fact, that's typically the way that it goes. That's how investing works, right? If you're familiar with 401ks or Roth IRAs, anything of that sort, you don't just invest and buy the dip. That's not how it works. You consistently put money in. So again, just try to get your head wrapped around the fact that 39,000, 40,000 is still a good value in the big picture. The likelihood of Bitcoin being 5, 10, 20 times larger in value than it is right now in the future is very high. The likelihood of Bitcoin coming down lower than 40,000 is as time progresses, is getting less consistent. And what I mean by that here is that if we look at just say the monthly, for example, you can see we're making higher highs and higher lows here, right? And most trends do continue to continue, right? They tend to keep moving forward. So Bitcoin, yes, we could potentially see, somewhere in the range of 30,000. There's no doubt that could possibly happen. 20,000 I think is less likely, but it's still in the cards. However, heaven forbid that were to happen, what's the point of just sitting around and waiting for that to occur if it never does happen? Why not add to your position and continue to average that out? And then, save some money aside, set it aside. It's okay if the price comes down, you can get more. Don't put all your eggs in one basket, of course, that's not what I'm telling you. Just really saying that, a little bit at a time is advantageous, specifically right now when the price point seems to be fairly low, all things considered. So again, that's just kind of my 2 cents there. Hopefully you make sense of that and I explained that correctly, but I do foresee a short-term bounce from Bitcoin and a potential resistance at 44,500. If we cannot break 44.5, we might be right back down to where we started. Okay, again, hard to say specifically until we get there, but everything's trending positively here in the sense that we're going to see that shift in momentum back to the upside in the next couple of days. MACD looks like it's ready to converge. RSI is almost at 50 on the 1 day. And we also have, the 1 hour kind of telling us that within the next 12 to 24 hours, we're going to see that shift in momentum. Pay attention to the Ichimoku cloud breaking above the actual cloud, and then of course the 4-hour MACD convergence. I think those are all things that are going to sway things in our favor and effectively give us that push back to the upside. All right, so once again, the very last thing here too, if this trend is broken and we get a close below, just say we get a close below 37,000, that's where we got to have a different conversation, okay? Because at that point we wouldn't be making higher lows, and it would be obviously, the trend would be broken. And when you break a trend, essentially, there's a lot less likelihood, of course, of that continuation. Okay, so again, a close below 37,000 would be my personal indication of a very of a not ideal situation. I don't know how else to describe it. It would not be excellent. We'll just put it that way. If we can stay above 37,000 on the 1 day, get a close always higher than 37,000, we'll never effectively be making lower highs or lower lows essentially. We'll still be making higher lows, and that would be important. Okay, again, just something to think about. Hopefully you found benefit here, of course. If you want to become a better trader, CryptoCache.tech is the website, link in the description below. I look forward to working with you. We have weekly roundtable discussions. Look forward to those every week. And of course, Signals, Trading Academy, everything you need to kind of become a better trader. So check that out in your own time. I do look forward to working with you. Hope you have a great rest of your day. We'll see you in the next one. Take care.